When it comes to paying your bills in Kenya, the M-Pesa mobile payment platform comes to mind. The service sees a whopping $145 million in daily transactions. While non-traditional banking has grown hugely popular in East and West Africa, there's still a lot of growth and improvement to do. And that's exactly what this forum's all about. What's definitely been highlighted at this forum is the role of payment innovation in helping the continent achieve its developmental targets. Questions have also been thrown to regulators and banks on whether they're really making the most of the opportunities in this sector, both for them and for the people here on the continent.
How do we make a change and an impact in the lives of millions of people who have had no access? I think the answer must be a collaboration of both parties in the market to create innovations. For me, it is beyond, whether banks are the right vehicles. Of course, banks have learned from the mobile companies or mobile payment platforms. Safaricom and M-Pesa is a fantastic example here. But it can't be on who is doing it alone.
This is going to be about partnerships, and I think that the beauty of the whole system is it is competitive. If you don't keep innovating, if you don't keep bringing new products and services, people will not stay with you.
Including new innovations is a key theme at this summit. But how can one make transactions affordable for low-income earners?
We need to realize the enormity of the problem we're dealing with. And unfortunately, the businesses that are trying to tackle this problem, banks, insurance companies, telcos, are the most profitable companies in Africa. So I think there is time for major disruption. We have to have major disruption. Because if we're really going to move the needle for poor people, we can't have those three industries extracting the amount of money that they are.
There's been a rapid rise in creative and convenient payment solutions across the continent. Still, stakeholders here say more needs to be done to maximize potential and improve cross-border payment structures. Maria Galang, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
Now, joining me in the studio is Ismail Ahmed. He's the CEO at online money transfer service WorldRemit to talk more about this. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Now, looking at the numbers, in January alone, your company transferred over 150 million US dollars in Kenya. Of course, this is on an annualized basis. 93% of that with mobile money. Now, talk to me about the numbers you've seen in terms of mobile to mobile remittances on the continent.
We've seen really huge growth on the back of the phenomenal success of mobile money services in Africa. When we first launched 6 years ago, we were online, digital in the send side, but in the receive side, 100% of our transactions were cash pickup. But today, 1/3 of our global transactions go to mobile money accounts. And in Africa, it is more than half of all our transactions go to a mobile money account. So it's a huge growth, and it's the fastest growing channel for us.
Now, you've mentioned Kenya is your biggest market. Can you point to me some of the fast growing markets across the continent?
We often hear a lot about M-Pesa. M-Pesa was the pioneer, and today we've been celebrating the 10-year anniversary of M-Pesa. But we have also many other successful mobile money services in Africa. That includes EcoCash in Zimbabwe, where a big chunk of the GDP actually goes through EcoCash like M-Pesa. We have MTN Uganda, MTN in Ghana, Ivory Coast, Tanzania as well. And even my home country, Somaliland, we have one of the most successful mobile money services in the world. 2010, the local economy was 100% cash. Today, Somaliland is the closest to a cashless economy in the world.
Now, the reality, though, is that the uptake of mobile money in Africa certainly hasn't been as great as it has been in Kenya. For example, in South Africa, we're seeing Vodacom, M-Pesa didn't do as well. How has that impacted your business? I mean, you've mentioned quite a number of services, but how has the slow uptake of mobile money impacted on WorldRemit?
We offer our customers mobile money, cash pickup, transfers to bank deposit. So for instance, in Asia, it's still the leading method of receiving money is cash pickup or bank deposit. But I think in Africa, the majority of the mobile money services have been successful. But I think, South Africa is a different market, because you have a large percentage of the population which are banked. Mobile money services have been very successful, where the majority of the population are unbanked. And so these services have enabled these unbanked people to get access to financial services. So we've been successful in markets where you have a leading big telco like Econet in Zimbabwe, Safaricom here, which convert their subscribers to mobile money users.
Now talk to me about the opportunities and certainly competition when we talk about mobile to mobile remittances on the continent. What is it like? What are the opportunities open? And certainly we know banks and telecoms are trying to get some skin in the game. What's competition like in the sector right now?
One of the reasons why international remittances to Africa in particular remained offline and informal has been because you had African banks which set up mainly exclusive relationships with the likes of the big networks, MoneyGram, Western Union, and that often created a situation where the cost of sending money was very high. The alternative was African diaspora to use informal networks. Today that is changing because we have the alternative digital remittance players like us and mobile money services. So that is really, that has helped the shift from informal to formal, and certainly has lowered the cost of sending money.
Well, many thanks for joining us in the studio with those insights. Of course, Ishmael Ahmed, he's the CEO at World